Now, back to Coastal Living on KZTV.
Go, baby, let's go!
We finished the field! We finished the field! All day long! All night long! All day long! Let's go!
This is our year! This is our time! All right, let's go! Count me on three! 1, 2, 3!
All right, we're back on Coastal Living. Man, the energy on those videos. I need to watch those before I go to the gym so I can be like, yeah, I'm going to tear up these weights. But we're not talking about weights. We're talking about Friday Night Football with Alan Harwell. Whoop, whoop.
Hi, how are you doing? Good morning.
Absolutely great.
All right.
How are you doing?
It's all good.
The Big Friday is like getting bigger and bigger.
Week 9.
And now
We're in
this
it.
is game of the year, isn't it?
Well, every week it seems like there's a game. We had game of the year number 1 last week. Now we got game of the year this week, number 2. We have another big one next week, and the last game of the year could be the biggest game of the century. So who knows?
We're planning on it.
Yeah.
So we're talking Miller versus Veterans Memorial. And Miller is 7-0.
Yes, undefeated and just killing everybody. Now, they had a really tough game against Flower Bluff last week, and they won with 22 seconds left to play in what was the best game I have seen in a long, long time. But they do it all, Miller. They throw the ball well, they run the ball well, they've got a great defense and really good special teams. Hard to find a weakness on that Miller side.
Do you think it's the coaching or the kids?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think when Justin Evans came in a few years ago, he brought this mentality that we're going to win and here's how we're going to get it done. He got it organized really well, and he's got some great athletes too.
Wow.
Andrew Body, their quarterback, may be the best in Texas because here's a kid that's thrown the ball over almost 200 yards and no interceptions. Now we're looking at Veterans Memorial now. The Veterans Memorial has been shredded with injuries this year. They've really gotten more than their share, but they have found a way to get it done. They're 6-1 overall, 4-1 in district. So if they win tomorrow night, they will be in a first place tie with Miller. And if Flower Bluff wins tomorrow night, it'll be a 3-way tie. So it's all going to come down.
This is really intense.
Yeah, it is. It's going to come down to point differentials, tiebreakers, and we're going to have to put everything in a computer and figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I can hear all that team spirit in the background. Is that how Buck Stadium is looking every time we come to one of these games?
Well, it was Friday night. The entire Miller side was full. Good size crowd on the Flower Bluff side as well, and we expect even a bigger crowd in spite of the weather. I don't know. You tell me.
I want to just alert all of the fans that are going to Buck Stadium that it's going to be cold and windy. It'll be great football weather, but it may be maybe 20, 25 mile an hour wind. I don't know if that's a factor for you guys.
Well, more importantly, how do the announcers address Friday night? That's what I
Wear your long johns, you know?
Winter's best.
It was really cold a couple of Friday nights ago. We were at Tolosa Midway. The wind blew just right through us.
Well, then this one you're going to bundle up because the wind is going to be the factor. And I'm thinking your game time temperature about 60, 61.
But it's going to feel colder than that, right?
It'll feel colder than that with wind. I mean, the folks in the stand with the hot chocolate, it's going to be great. The field might be a little wet, but it's AstroTurf.
Oh, yeah,
no problem there.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a weather factor, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well,
get ready for it.
It'll affect the passing game without a doubt, and Miller really has a great passing game. But they can run the ball. Here, think about this. Miller has thrown the ball for over 2,200 yards. Wow. They have run the ball over 1,900 yards. That is balance right there. They're incredible. And of course, both teams will be battling for the Mattress Firm Friday Night Fever
Don't mess
trophy.
around.
Yes.
It's a big, heavy trophy.
Now, why do you have it?
Well,
keep it safe.
I'm the guy. It stays at my house.
At the end of the season?
I do. I have it at my house during the week. I have it up on the mantle. It gives me a trophy.
With the little blanket around it.
Yes.
A
You
little
feel like you
taquito
did
in the
something.
morning.
Yes, the only trophy I ever had. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, we don't want to lose it. What happens if we lost it?
You give it to the winning team at the end of the season.
Yes. Well, no, they get one every week.
This is a copy.
Now this one says Mattress Firm Friday Night Fever game of the week. Now what we do after the game, I take it to my trophy guy, and he will put the date and the name of the teams and the score, and they get to keep it forever.
Nice. So that's like really personalized.
Yeah, so it's their souvenir actually from their victory.
From their victory.
Yeah. Cal Allen has like 22 of them.
I bet they do.
We had to go build shells for Phil Danaher because he's got so many trophies over there.
Yeah.
I love it. Maybe Mattress Firm can give them nice little cushiony shelves. So that game is tomorrow night, Buck
Yes.
Stadium, 7:30.
Yes, we will be there. We'll be reporting live. Paul Alexander and myself will be there at 5, 6, and 10
Okay.
with complete game highlights and post game.
Very cool. And as you mentioned, this is going to start to get really intense. Do you have like a forecast? You mentioned that if Vets wins, then they're in a tie.
Right?
So from there they would
Miller
play Flower
wins.
Bluff. Oh no, Miller wins.
Yes.
No.
If Vets
If
wins
Vets,
tomorrow
yeah.
night and if Flower Bluff wins tomorrow night, there's a 3-way tie. And
Okay.
then we still have a couple of weeks of the regular season to play. Things could still happen. I think they will all make the playoffs. It just depends who will be the district champion, who will be the number 2 team, and who will be the number 3 team going into the playoffs.
Is it too early for you to kind of come up with a little prediction?
I tell you what, it's going to be hard to beat Miller, but Veterans has shown that they can come through.
You
and
haven't
play some
thrown
good
Cal
defense.
Allen into that mix yet.
Well, they're not in the same district. They're setting themselves up for the game of the century in 2 weeks against
that's
Port
right.
Lavaca Calhoun. We'll talk about in a couple of weeks.
Game
That-
of the
All
century.
right.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Ellen, so much
All
for
right.
joining us and filling us in. Make sure to get out that game and support your local teams. That's 7:30 at Buck Stadium, Miller versus Vets. Stick around. You're watching Coastal Living. We'll be right back.